Welcome to Knicksfandom. This is an independent New York Knicks fan-based podcast, which was created by fans for fans. The show is hosted by LA Blackwell, Danny, and Flau. They'll discuss the issues surrounding the Knicks, the NBA, and various other sports-related topics. Join us. It's going to be a heck of a ride.
Guess who's back? Back again, Knicksfandom. Tell a friend. Welcome, everyone. This is episode 11 of our podcast, known as Knicksfandom. I'm your host, as always, LA Blackwell, and I hope our listeners are doing good out there. And it's great to be joined by my co-host, Flo. How you doing, Flo?
LA, I'm great, brother. How you doing today, man?
I'm good, man. I'm back. How about you, my fellow co-host, Danny D? How's everything on your side, brother?
LA looking good. Just another day is the slogan we say. What's going on, man?
All right. Good as always. We're going to get right into it, fellas. First segment up, you know what it is, our weekly Knicks Roundup. For the past weekly games were as follows. On Monday, the Knicks played the Hawks. They lost 107-108 in a tough game. Wednesday was an away game against the Celtics, which they won 117-106. And also on Thursday, had another tough nail-biter in which they lost to the Wizards 110-113, and then also on Saturday had a home game against the Suns, which they lost 105-107. Therefore, since our last podcast, the Knicks went 1-3 in the previous 4 games. The total record now stands at 19-26, a home record of 12-11, and a road record of 7-15. Right now, the playoffs started; they'd be in 11th place at this moment. Basically, what are your main thoughts that stands out regarding the Knicks and overall play in these last 4 games, Danny D?
It's rough, guys. It's rough. I have a stat for you guys. They're saying right now, the Knicks' last 3 losses have come at the end by a total of 6 points combined. In games within 5 points in the last 5 minutes, in overtime, the Knicks are 11-14. We're 20th in the NBA right now. That's according to ESPN. So Jeff Horner said it's frustrating. No, it's frustrating for me, guys, because I'm getting tired of getting these L's. And it's close games. You know, we with the Suns game, it was a close game, but we got to start getting together. We got to do something, Flo. LA, what we got to do, guys? What we going to do?
Need some help. Got to call the mass shooter, man. Right now, I need some backup reserves. How about you, Flo? What you think right now overall? Now, get my opinion.
Confusing. That's the right word to describe this team for the week. Confusing. I really don't understand how this team lost games to teams that they have no business losing to, especially, at the end of the games. First and first was this Atlanta game. You know what? I gotta put this guy on the spot. Derrick Rose do not deserve to be back with his team. It's time for him to go. When his contract is up at the end of the season, come July 1st, goodbye. We don't need him here. And the reason why I say that is simple. According to ESPN, the Knicks are ranked 15th offensively, but they're ranked 25th defensively. And what I've noticed, opposing team point guards are really killing the Knicks with knocking down wide open 3-pointers, attacking the basket. Again, the blame's with Derrick Rose. It starts with him. As much we can sit here and blame Carmelo Anthony, it starts with Derrick Rose. Carmelo Anthony's guy that he's guarding, defensively is not killing us. Is the opposing team point guard that's killing us, and they've been killing us for the last couple of years. We keep changing our point guard to the last 2 years with Jose Calderon and now with Derrick Rose. These guys, they're not up to the challenge defensively. It's time to move on.
Okay, who you move on with? I don't know. Just playing devil's advocate right now.
Honestly, there's 2 options. Number 1, you go after Drew Holiday come July 1st. 2, you draft a point guard. Those are only 2 options out there right now. Or option number 3, believe it or not, I definitely go after a point guard that's on the market. And that point guard is Ricky Rubio. I know you guys are not fond of him.
No
but listen, I was watching film of him recently, man. Great defensive player, man.
Great defensive.
Yeah.
What about Ricky Rubio?
Ricky Rubio.
He got a twin brother I don't know about, man.
Come on, man. That man plays good defense, man. I can understand his offense stinks, but he plays great defense, man.
What you think about that, D? You think he's a great defender?
I don't like Ricky Rubio at all, man. He's a horrible offensive player. Defensively, I guess he does the James Harden underlay. Let the person go the go by. So I take Flo words. I gotta go look at tapes. I haven't looked at tapes, to be honestly, because I'm not a Ricky Rubio fan. So I'm not looking at tapes with this guy.
Hey, fair enough. I think he's a much more offensive player, passing wise, but he just does too many turnovers. His jump shot is very atrocious sometimes. I don't want him as a Knick. I really don't. I don't if you don't want to go that route. And the thing is, I would like Holiday, but the way I've been reading about things regarding him, it's a lot of other teams that's going to be going at them. I hear he might stay with the Pelicans. They want to keep the brow and keep him happy over there. Also, I'm here in Philadelphia because that's the team when they did a big breakup of the team and was going backwards. Now they may be interested in putting him back there with with Simmons. Basically trying to see what's going on with him. If he's supposed to be coming back soon near the All-Star break, I heard also. So. But keep going there, Flo. Then I'll give my opinion about the Knicks right now.
Pretty much, again, Derrick Rose, defensively, has been horrible. He left in the Atlanta game. He left Dennis Schroeder open for the wide open three, where the Knicks lost the game there. And also with yesterday's game against the Phoenix Suns. What I noticed, Coach Horner said, he made an adjustment. He decided that he didn't want Eric Bledsoe. He didn't want Eric Bledsoe to kill him. So he put his best defender, guard-wise, which was Ron Baker, on him, and he decided to put his worst defender, Derrick Rose, on the shooter, Devin Booker. That didn't help at all, because if you notice, Phoenix coach Earl Watson, who's also a former assistant under Jeff Hornacek, he made his adjustment. He wanted to make sure the ball was in Booker's hand. So Booker made some plays, knocking out shots, man. So at the end of the day, teams are looking at game film. They're starting to realize that Derrick Rose is the weakest link on this team defensively. So. And then with this Boston game, the Knicks just manhandled Boston. That's why I can't figure out this Knicks team whatsoever. They just physically just manhandled Boston. Starting with Hernan Gomez, excellent game. I believe he had a double-double in that game against Boston. I believe he had 17-11. I know Kyle O'Quinn was in foul trouble. But also, Noah didn't play at all. I believe O'Quinn started. I believe the Knicks are 5-0 now with O'Quinn starting. So, again.
You also said KP that didn't play in that game.
Correct. Definitely, that's correct. Also, what the thing what bothered me also with Coach Hornacek, even when Booker hit that game-winning three, I understand the Knicks had the ball, Melo got the ball, hit the game-winning, to take the game-winning shot. And normally that's a shot that Melo normally makes, but how come Coach Hornacek didn't go with a high pick and roll involving Porzingis, where now it forces Tyson Chandler, who's guarding Porzingis in the fourth quarter, it forces him to make a decision. Do you go after Melo or do you stick with Porzingis? You go after Melo, that leaves KP open to knock down a wide open three-pointer. Why didn't he make that adjustment? I understand when Melo will have the ball in his hand. I don't have a problem with that. But another problem I also have with this game, that was the only shot Melo took in that fourth quarter, which doesn't make any sense whatsoever. That bothers me. No. Melo should be used as a decoy when the game was on. Everybody in the building knew that he was going to take a game-winning jump shot. Everybody knew that.
And he should have took it. I had no problem doing it.
I don't have no problem.
Mm-hmm. No, go ahead.
I don't have a problem with him taking that jump shot. But the problem is, use him as a decoy. If there's a double coming, you got to pick your poison. Who you want to beat you. Was it Porzingis or Melo? The thing is, everybody knew Melo's going to take that shot. Phoenix put their best defender on Melo, PJ Tucker, who's also, I've been hearing his names in trade discussions. Guarded Melo, did an excellent job defensively, even though Melo still was able to get the shot off. By the way, great pick by Ron Baker, by the way. Also.
No, it was. Got a good look. That's what I wanted.
Yeah, Melo had a great look,
I wanted to go for the win, so I would have did that. But I want to go back a little bit before you even go to that game. Just step back a little bit. Just overall, the way I looked at the Knicks, like you said, both of y'all, right now, still a roller coaster with them. But they're trying a lot harder than they was in the beginning. I think since the trade kind of proposal been going out there against Melo really took that to heart. You can see in the last couple games, he really been stepping up, really showing that he want to be here. He stated basically in the papers that he did want to be here for the most part right now. If more in the Knicks' hands, they want to make that move or fails. So we'll see where that goes as the season progresses. But just looking at some of the things, I was just trying to see that the Knicks actually are getting better in some of the areas we looked at in the beginning of the season. And that they're still having trouble overall defensive-wise as a team. And you got to take some of the, Rambis got to take that hit right now. But also some of the things they was doing, like inside, protecting the boards and everything of that nature, and not letting so many people go just crazy inside with them. I think they're doing a lot better other than the guard play. The point guards and the two guards really been driving on them, but they've been holding really well in the post. Like the rebounds been pretty close for most of the games. And also, I just think points in the paint. That was a big issue before. Knicks have been doing a lot better since the Horse game into the last 4 games, just looking at it statistic-wise. The big issue to me is the turnovers, a lot of fast break points. They're still losing out. The bench is still not doing well, which I kind of like seeing how Porzingis came off the bench the last couple of games since he was coming off the Achilles tendon injury. And I think that gave him a little push at the end. And also they started Kaminskas in the starting lineup. He had like 14 points in that Horse game. I would try to change that lineup a little more. I would like to see them keep doing stuff of that nature. Although Lee was upset when he went to the bench. What y'all think about that?
I don't know why he's upset for. He ain't producing, so you need to go on the bench. What are you mad about? Not producing. You're getting paid over $50 million. You got to produce. You got to get on the bench. Got to shake it up a little bit. There's no reason to be upset. Play.
So, and another game I thought stood out when you was talking about the Celtics game was like to Hernan Gomez. He had 17 and 11 in that game. Also, Howard had 13 points in that game. Although you didn't have KP, they played pretty well overall. But once again, like you were saying, Flo, with Derrick Rose having an issue with Thomas, but most of the league's having issues with him, so I can't get too much down on him. And he did have 30 points in that game and 10 rebounds. That's the thing with the Knicks. He's still the best point guard they've had in the last, I don't know how long, maybe since Derek Harper days, maybe, things of that nature. So on one part, you really want to make that extra step and say he need to go, but also you got to have a legitimate point guard for this team if you're really going to continue to build around Melo and KP, you know. But I just really would like to see a change of lineup and more of rotation. That's the main thing I would like to see right now, just looking at it. Also, that John Wall game, that was a tough loss to me, too. And they see that at the last second, they got basically ran up the court and the dunk at the end. Although he did double dribble if you look at the replay. But they're not going to call that at the end. I realize that, folks. But, you know, it was a tough loss. The Knicks was in that game. Also, Quinn played well in that game as well as Melo did. So they playing harder. They playing tougher. But, you know.
They playing harder and stuff like that. It's true. But my thing is I'm very confused about the rotation because the Celtics game, you had Willie Hernandez play. But then the Wizard game, you didn't play him. He didn't play at all. So I don't understand. What's the reasoning?
Exactly. It was a did not play. It was a coach's decision.
Yeah, he didn't play. Coach said he didn't play at all. I think he had 17 the night before, the other game against Atlanta. So I'm confused how he just had a good game and then you don't play him at the next game. Wow.
I don't know. And that was tough because you actually played, and that's the thing with Baker. You played him 20 minutes that game in that same Wizards game. He only gave you 2 points and 0 assists. So it's like you're trying to do these moves, but the players you're doing these moves with is not being consistent. Same thing with Cuz. He only got like 6 points in that game. And that's a game, you know. Lee didn't do that well either. So you got to get some rotation that's going to work and decide which way you're going to go. I got 2 rotations I'd like to see them go to, but I'm going to talk about that a little later in the show, see what y'all guys think. Anything else specific stands out in one of these games if you want to go back to that Suns game, Flo?
No, pretty much like I said before, Melo 0 points in the fourth quarter. That can't happen. He needs to have the ball in his hand. Let him facilitate the offense in the fourth quarter. He's got to have the ball in his hands. If he's getting double, let him kick it out and find a shooter open. Pretty much.
I agree. The main thing I had with the issue at the end was Booker. It's like, why you let him shoot that shot at the end? I know you're doing a rotation, but you pulled away and left him open for a wide open shot, which made Melo had to shoot the 3 at the end. Basically, they've still been up by like, I think, 1 point, or it's been 1 point game at that point. So I didn't understand that at all when you did that. Let somebody else beat you at the end. It's the same thing they did in the other game before. I forgot.
Atlanta.
Exactly. It's like, let somebody else beat you. Or it's the same thing with the Bucks game. Don't let the main person that was killing you. Booker had 26 points that game. Nobody else really was doing nothing for them. Tucker had like 15 points, I think 3 boards. He was playing physical with Melo, but Melo dominated, especially in that third quarter and stuff. So I didn't understand that. But, you know, that's how it is right now. Anything else y'all want to say regarding overall for the Knicks weekly roundup?
Pretty much, man. I want to bring this up, and I brought up earlier today. Under the Carmelo Anthony era, the Knicks are 209 and 258. All right, the Carmelo Anthony era began on February 23rd, 2011. The Knicks had 5 different head coaches during that time frame: Mike D'Antoni, Mike Woodson, Derek Fisher, Kurt Rambis, and Jeff Hornacek, which is the current head coach. At this point, what do you guys think about this Melo drama? Do you guys feel like it's time to move Melo, or we should keep him?
I'll start with you, Danny D. What you think?
It depends. When you say move him, it depends on where Melo wants to move to. You understand what I'm saying? Because he really has the cards to go where he wants to go. It's not like, oh, I'm frustrated. He said he wants to stay. I could see if he was like, nah, I don't want to stay. I want to go. But then he still holds the card. So it's really what you're going to do and what face value, what you're going to get back from Melo, and it's going to be enough to build around who. We have to have somebody to build around to and have a focal point to have it actually do some damage. Or it's going to be another lost season, and then we have to rebuild again, starting again. So with me, I would keep Melo and try to work from things, but then the cap space and things like that with Noah having $72 million, Courtney Lee, we're really high stake with this. So we got to see and try to work it out and see where it goes from here.
I do agree. I concur with this so far. You're stuck in between a rock and a hard place just because, well, it does have that no trade clause, like Danny D was saying, and it's based you at his whim on that until he really ready to say that he want to go and the Knicks, and he gives you a more than at least 2-team option, or at least those 2 teams are also interested. That's the big thing. It's not just about the Knicks want to let him go. The other teams got to be willing to take that deal for Melo. Melo makes a lot of money. And you also got to see if he fits the team that he want to go to, because these teams most likely going to be winning type of teams. Do they really want to mess up their chemistry at this moment? That's something you got to think about. And also for the Knicks, like you were saying, if you let him go, do you do a total rebuild, or do you feel like you're going to get equal compensation? It's hard to tell right now. So basically, may I just play out the string, as they say. Right now, I'm not quite sure. How about you, Flo, since you brought up the topic? What you think?
Honestly, it's time to retool, not rebuild. So pretty much what I'm saying is keep Melo around. He knows that this is Porzingis' team. And at the end of the day, the biggest issue with this team is... Huh?
Does he know that?
I think he knows that. I don't think he has a problem passing the torch. I just think that he's getting fed up where he's tired of his name being dragged into the mud by Phil Jackson. Again, Mr. Jackson has not even attempted to talk to media. I didn't hear him come out with the Derrick Rose incident, with Derrick Rose being out for missing a game. Went to Chicago, he had a family issue. This guy has been invisible, and that's bothering me. Mr. Jackson's got to go.
Game the other day. I saw him at the other game, the Chicago game. I think he was in attendance, so he letting his face be shown.
Did he speak?
No, not. I didn't hear anything come out in press conference wise. I think he's letting it play out right now.
That's where the problem is. When you're investing $60 million as the face of the franchise, which Mr. Jackson is, he's got to he's got to speak, and he's got to be able to articulate himself in front of the media. Stop worrying about other teams' players like LeBron James with the Possegate drama, etc., etc. Focus on his team. I didn't hear you talk about Derrick Rose. I didn't hear you talk about about a suspension or the fine whatsoever. It just came out through a short, small statement. Then I saw this ad, this Derrick Rose ad with him going on Amtrak, which was strange. That ad came out the same day he was missing for the New Orleans Hornets game. So that was strange as it is. So once again, the onus is on Phil. Shame on him. And I feel with Melo, I kind of agree with him. Not only I agree with him, guess what? San Antonio Spurs coach Greg Popovich agrees with Carmelo Anthony. At the end of the day, this is a problem. This Knicks team has a big problem, and it's Phil Jackson is the guy that has to go at the end of the day. He is the main source for for this Knicks team struggling right now. On
some level, the players got to play though. You put them out there, the players got to play at the end of the day.
But he brought in the wrong pieces, to surround Melo with. Courtney Lee has been a disappointment. Joakim Noah has been a major disappointment, especially from a guy that's coming off of shoulder surgery that only played 31 games the previous season. Especially when the owner of the Chicago Bulls, who's also a CPA, by the way, and I forgot his name off the top of my head. I'm not talking about Jerry Cross. I'm talking Mr. Reinsdorf.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Pretty much, who I believe he's 79 to 81 years old. And I apologize if I'm wrong on the age, but I believe he's in that age range. He even stated, why would I spend money to re-sign a guy who's pretty much just done? And he's right. He's done. Who was Phil Jackson competing against to sign Joakim Noah? There was no competition. You could have signed him to a 1-year deal. Prove it, and that's it. You signed him to a 4-year deal. Guy coming off shoulder surgery. You signed him to a $72 million deal, 4 years. Especially when you look at his number compared to Dwight Howard's number. Dwight Howard's contract is 3 years, $70.3 million. You look at his numbers are way better than Noah's numbers. You know, I believe Dwight is giving you 14 points and 11 rebounds every night. You know, Noah's not even coming close to that. Finally, I believe Noah was at a couple weeks, maybe a month ago, Noah was averaging around 4 points, 8 rebounds. I'm pretty sure those rebounding numbers are probably going up a little bit, you know. But again, you invested $72 million in Noah, you invested $50 million accordingly. These guys are not producing at all, you know. You took a risk in going after Derrick Rose, which is fine, because Derrick Rose needed a change of scenery. That's fine. But I'm pretty sure I don't think Derrick Rose was the number one option. I think he was the backup option. Like I said, I'm pretty sure Mr. Jackson is probably listening to this podcast right now. The reason why I say that, because LA, me and you, we discussed this, you know, previous times. I think the number one guy that Phil Jackson really wanted was Jrue Holiday. I think he really wanted him. I think at the end of the day, I don't think he wanted Omar Sheik. So I think he looked at Chicago and said, you know what? Let me make a deal with the Chicago team because I've coached the Bulls in the past. I have a relationship with this organization. It's not a great relationship, but it is a working relationship. And let me pull the trigger on this deal. He gave up a good center to get Derrick Rose. And also he gave up a backup point guard, 24-year-old Grant. You know, the son of Harvey Grant and the nephew of Horace Grant, former Bull. So,
Gerard, I think.
You know, but at the end of the day, you know, these moves that Phil made has not really helped him. The only thing he's been successful pretty much has been drafting Porzingis. That's about it. You look at the trade where he traded Tyson Chandler to Dallas for a second, I believe for Jose Calderon, and he had the option with Dallas where he could have taken the second round draft pick or Jay Crowder. He chose the second round draft pick, which ended up becoming the first player that Phil Jackson has drafted under his Knick regime, which was actually Clay Anthony Early. And you guys know that Clay Anthony Early is more famous for getting shot in a New York City nightclub as opposed to playing basketball, with the Knicks.
That was a bust with that one.
You know.
But that's Phil Jackson. You got to take good and bad, I guess, at this point. And
it's a lot of bad right now. Like, a lot of bad.
I feel you. I hear where you're coming from. And that's
95% bad.
I can't say 95%, though. I can't say that.
All right, 94%.
94. Right now, I say it's 40-60 right now. You got
40-60?
Yeah. You got Porzingis.
40-60?
You got Porzingis. You got the deal for Rose. I was a big fan of that deal. Also was a fan, not so much of the Noah for that type of money, but I liked the deal bringing him here. I wouldn't have did it for that type of years. I would have got Howard over that, but he couldn't get it done, and basically it didn't seem like they didn't even pursue Howard. They didn't think he was going to be a good fit in New York from what it seemed like at the time, so they went in that route. I thought Noah was going to still play better than he is now. Still time will tell, still the first year. Also with Rose, as I said, I thought that was a great move. You got him for 1 year. You can see what you want to do, and also opens up a big cap space if you decide not to keep him. So to me, it was a win-win. Lopez, he's a good center, not great. I wasn't that upset about losing him at this point. I feel like you can always replace that down the road. So to me, it was a move you had to make, taking that chance. Also free up that cap space potentially. But, we'll see where the Knicks going to go. Right now, they got to play out the string until Melo decides he really doesn't want to be here, or Phil really pursues it and comes out and say he really wants to move Melo. But until that happens, you're going to have to play the string out, fellas. That's how it's going to be. But that's it for basically weekly Knicks Roundup. And we're just going to go right into our tip-off segment. As usual, this is a short segment where we basically pick up a topic we've been thinking about and like discussing a group format. The topic may pertain to any type of NBA sports related topic or just any sports topic in general that we may find interesting, and in turn, hopefully you, the listener, find interesting as well. Let's start off this week with Danny D. You got anything for our tip-off segment?
The tip-off segment that I have this week, guys, is in regard to NBA player who's still under contract, Chris Bosh. Word is on the street is that the Chicago Bulls are looking to acquire Chris Bosh if he is healthy. You know, you guys, he's been dealing with blood clots for the last 2 seasons, and he turns 33. So the rumor has it is that Miami is going to keep Chris Bosh. Not that they're going to keep him until March 1st, so no other team can sign him. They thought they were going to do it on February 23rd because if they drop him February 23rd, another team can sign him. So they're going to wait till March 1st and probably drop him, and then he has to play out from there. So what do you guys think about that? Chicago potentially picking him up maybe this season, else healthy, or next season. Chris Bosh.
Okay, thank you, D. Yeah, I saw that earlier as well. I got a little opinion about that, but I'll let you get into the flow first. How about you? What you think about that Chris Bosh potential move?
I think that stinks for Chicago. I mean, you're going after a guy who's, who hasn't played ball in a while. He's not healthy. Has some blood clot issues. I think if I'm Chris Bosh, he should retire. Stop trying to pursue your NBA. Stop trying to continue your NBA career where it's already been over. You have nothing to prove to nobody. You have your rings in Miami with LeBron and D Wade. Retire, and hopefully in the next couple of years he can be in the NBA Hall of Fame. He won't be a first ballot Hall of Famer, but I think he could get in on the third ballot. No way.
I mean, no way he's not in no third ballot. He's first ballot. He's gonna walk in them doors, man. I don't think the league will put him in the first ballot. I doubt it. I think third ballot he's automatic. I don't think he'll get in the first shot. I would love to see him get on the first shot, but I doubt it. I really doubt it. Okay. I agree with you. Speaking to the choir, I think he did what he needed to do. He got his 2 rings. He was already an all-star player before he even got with LeBron and on him in Toronto. And to me, there's nothing left to prove. To me, I think it's a bad move, not even for the team, it's a bad move for Chris Bosh. There's no reason to put yourself out there that you could permanently hurt yourself. You're a father. You're a husband. You proved it all. He's very intelligent, so I see no reason to be out there on the court. If you want to be a coach, that's fine. If you want to be an announcer, I can see him doing any of those things, that type of nature. He has that ability, but I see no reason to be out there on the court other than just his love of the game, which you admire on some level. But on something, I got to say, it's a little bit selfish. You got too much to lose for your family-wise. For a wrong hit, anything can happen. And you don't even want that to happen on the NBA. God forbid something like that. You see that, and the fans see that, and the play that could injure him. It's just a lot of. It could go real bad versus it could go real well. If he didn't win a ring, I could understand it a little bit more. But even at this point, I don't see the purpose of doing it. Stay home, enjoy your life. You're a young man. There's nothing out there for you. I also think he's going to walk in as a Hall of Famer. I see he'd be a part of first ballot in my eyes. So there's nothing left for him, in my opinion. How about you, Danny D? What you think?
Man, I got the love of the game, man, Coach. I need that high. I need to be out there, man, with my brothers. Man, I got to play, man. That's Chris Bosh. You know what I mean? Tell that dude to stay off the court. Tell them relax, man. You got the money. You got the contract. You got the wife. You got the... Just relax, brother. Just relax. You got the health issue. You're not going like no sucker. You got the... You understand, guys? He has 2 rings. You know what I'm saying? He has 2 rings.
Do you think he's a Hall of Fame already?
Yeah, he's a Hall of Famer. He has 2 rings. He got busy in Toronto and got busy in Miami. You have 2 rings on it. I could see if you didn't have a ring, he's like, yo, I need to go out there. I got to get the ring. I got to prove it. You got it already, man. Just sit down, relax, and just chill. That's it. You got it, man. You won.
You hear us, Bosh? Take it to heart, man. There's nothing left for you in the game, at least in that capacity. I think you did all you had to do and then some. But okay. Thank you.
Mr. Bosh,
Go ahead, Flau.
if you're listening, come on this podcast. Chris Bosh, come on this podcast. We'd love to hear you talk about your NBA career.
Sounds good to me. Get it out there, folks. We need that. Get it out there. All right. Thank you, Danny D. How about you, Flo? What's your tip-off topic for the day if you have one?
Honestly, man, I just want to talk about one trade rumor I heard online. Another trade rumor I started to put out there. And I want to mention a player that I talked about a couple of minutes that plays for Phoenix. So, number one, let me talk about this player, PJ Tucker. The Los Angeles Clippers actually contacted the Phoenix Suns, and they offered a second rounder for PJ Tucker, and the Suns said no, they want a first rounder. Do you guys believe that he's worth a first round draft pick?
To me, no. I don't think he is, but if I'm them, I'm definitely holding out for a first rounder because he's a starter. And I think the Clippers the Suns really not going to get that much for him if you do that type of deal. So I would definitely ask for a first rounder. I'm not just going to hand deliver him to the Clippers. They're basically one piece away maybe from contending. So I wouldn't just give him away. How about you, D?
I don't know if he fits in the system because PJ Tucker is a guy that really surprised me because it seems like he got better over the years. You know, he got that contract with Phoenix and he's out there balling. But definitely, yeah, if I'm Phoenix, I need to get a first round. I'm not going to let this dude walk away for nothing in the second round. I can get a steal or a gem, but I need to get my probability up. I need to earn a first round pick to see what's going on for PJ Tucker because he's putting in some minutes and some boards and he's putting some points up.
Yeah, I agree. It's some with them dudes named PJ. It's like PJ Brown about the Nets. He got better and better. Yeah. You know, it's like they work on their game. So that's why NBA fans out there, y'all know about him. How about you, Flo? What you think about it? Yes or no?
Honestly, they're not in a rush to make that trade until February 23rd, in my opinion. So I think they should continue to field offers. And by the 23rd, they make the decision if they pull the trigger for a second rounder or not. Hopefully, they can hold out until the 23rd for a first rounder. But
would you do a second rounder?
Would I move him for a second rounder?
Yeah.
I think I would need two second rounders to pull the trigger on the deal.
How old is PJ Tucker? Do you know? I know he's like in his mid-20s or early 20s.
PJ Tucker. I thought he might be late. It might be late.
That's what I'm wondering. If he's older, then maybe I would do that deal for two. If he's a little younger, I think I would hold on to him if you got him on a controllable contract. That's something we'll check out as the podcast goes on.
No, yeah, he's 31.
Oh, he's that old? Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. I might make that move for two of them then. I thought he was a little bit younger than that. Okay, thank you, D. Yeah. How about you, Flo? What's your second trade?
All right. Well, I got two more. One is I heard online, and then the other one is something I was thinking about. Just curiosity here. What's your take on it? So let me talk about the one I've been reading online. Pretty much the Denver Nuggets and the Boston Celtics are supposedly on the verge of making a blockbuster trade where the Nuggets will move small forward Danilo Gallinari, former Knick, point guard Jameer Nelson, former Orlando Magic, and small forward Darrell Arthur, and the big centerpiece of this trade is center Joseph Nurkic for small forward Jay Crowder, power forward Amir Johnson, center Tyler Zeller, point guard Terry Rozier, and a 2019 first-round draft pick. According to the NBA Trade Machine, the money works. What do you guys think about this trade proposal?
Who draft pick is it, though?
I think this is Boston's draft pick.
Okay, thank you. I'll start first with this, and I'll get it to you, Danny D. I think they're getting beat. I don't like this move for Denver, man. I think Boston trying to beat. If it's a net pick, I'd have did it. I'm not doing this for this move, man. Gallinari is a stud when he's healthy. I like him still the Knicks. I know D did as well. So
yeah, right.
I'm not doing that at all, man. Boston trying to beat him. This Danny Ainge, man. Get out of here, man. I'm not feeling this at all.
And who said Danny Ainge is a crook? I told you that. You don't believe me.
I didn't say that. I don't want him coming out suing me for no slander or no spoken word. That was Flo. Remember that, Danny Ainge? That was Flo. Allegedly. Say alleged when you say that, Flo, all right?
I apologize. Allegedly.
How about you, D? What you think about that potential deal?
Say again. Who are the players again?
He wants you to say it again, Flo, the total deal.
Jameer Nelson, Darrell Arthur, and Joseph Nurkic for Jay Crowder, Amir Johnson, Tyler Zeller, Terry Rozier, and a 2019 first-round draft pick.
And they get a draft pick.
But the Boston pick. They're going to be winning with that draft pick. That ain't going to be worth nothing. Ain't worth nothing.
True that. And then if I'm Boston really don't have to do that anyway because they're just going to try to beat them in the head anyway. Boston don't have to make that trade for them to double up if they get Dallin and stuff like that. But they are giving them Jay Crowder. If I'm Denver, I'm not taking it. Just me personally, I wouldn't take it.
I hear you. I concur. How about you, Flo?
We all unanimously agree on this one. I don't like this trade at all, whatsoever for Denver. I think they're trying. I think pretty much they're getting ripped off. The only thing that will help Denver, Amir Johnson will be a free agent in the season, so you're freeing up $12 million. But again, that first round draft pick has no value because it's Boston's pick. If it was a Nets pick, you think about making that trade, but again, it has no value. I'm not too fond of Danny Ainge. Allegedly, I think he's a crook, and he's up to his old tricks again. He conned the Nets and Billy King and given up the Nets draft picks for Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, and Jason Terry. He conned them. And that's why the Nets are where they are today, struggling.
Exactly.
Con man.
Exactly. It was a couple years too late. If you did those moves a couple years earlier, it would have been a nice move for the Nets at the time, but no. It wasn't a good one at all, looking back at it. You got any other trades there, Flo?
And the last one is something I just thought about.
Okay.
Joakim Noah going to the Portland Trailblazers for small forward Evan Turner.
I know you want to do it, Flo, right now. You're going to Philadelphia and get it. I mean, where's that now? You're not Philly. Is he at Philly?
Portland.
Yeah, Portland. There you go. I know you go to Portland right now and pick him up.
Oh, definitely. I pick him from the airport. Definitely. Definitely.
That's hard to say right now. Noah's not. I mean, he's actually playing better if you look at the last couple of games, though. I just don't know. And they do need a small forward with the lineup. I would like to see the Knicks do. I might do that.
Well, thank you, LA. Because think about this. You pull this trigger on this deal. That means you see less of Lance Thomas. He can glue himself on the bench.
I forgot all about it. He got hurt with the orbital injury. I don't know. He played like he was hurt.
That's a blessing in disguise, brother. It's a blessing in disguise.
Yeah. I think I might do that. Especially, how many years is left on Turner's contract there, Flo? If you
Same thing as Noah's. It's 4 years.
Yeah, he just got his contract.
Okay. I think I would have to do that right now. What you think, Danny D?
Yeah, he can finally start Wilhelm Gerners or O'Quinn. Because, Noah's not really, he's doing it, but he's doing it slowly. And Evan Turner, he's okay. He's not playing like he was before, but he's getting better back to shape, too. And actually, Evan Turner can actually defend. He can play with the ball in his hand. He's a playmaker also, though. So it can be another guard to help out a little bit. But he'll be more consistent in Courtney Lee, I'll tell you that.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and he can play small forward, too, if you had to.
He's a starting he's a small forward. But again, you can put him, you can put him at the 2. He'd be a big 2 guard. Start him at the 3. He can come off the bench and be Melo's number 1 backup, at the 3. Or, you can put him at the 4 and put Kuz at the 3,
Okay. That sounds good. That goes right into one thing I wanted to talk about later. I might well say now. It was the starting rotation and starting unit. I seen like Hornacek having little issues with that. And I was thinking what y'all guys think about these 2 starting lineups for the Knicks if they keep in Melo going forward. And this would kind of fit into the Knicks better if that even happens with that type of deal. How would you feel about Porzingis starting at the center, moving Melo to the power forward, having Kaminskas, or if you had a Turner at small forward and Lee at the 2 guard and Rose at the point? Just because I feel like Melo is getting a little bit beat at the small forward right now. He seemed to play a lot better a couple of years ago when they moved him to the power forward. Also with Porzingis, I know it's going to take some beatings in the center, which is one reason I didn't want him starting there. But it seems like right now they're really struggling with that overall anyway. He's getting the most blocks on this team regardless. So it kind of opens up the floor if you can move that to that position, let Melo, go past the bigger power forwards and, post up the smaller power forwards. And also do the same thing with Porzingis and then have Noah play against the bigger guys if he's still here. And then also have like Willie Hernan-Gomez play off the bench as well as O'Quinn at the power forward off the bench. That's one of the starting lineups I was thinking about. What y'all think about that versus what they're doing right now?
Who's the 2 guard?
Lee, because it seems like Lee doesn't play well when they put him on the bench. He seems like he's pouting anyway. So I feel like you got to move him back to the starting position.
And the small forward was who?
Kamiskas, and then move Melo to the power, KP to the center, and Rose at point.
Yeah.
That was one.
I like that because like Flo said, when they sat Noah down, they was moving because they can move the ball. They move the ball a lot quicker. They rebound and they can score, and they can move quicker without Noah on the floor. And they've been doing good with Noah. Like Flo said, they're like 5-0 when Noah doesn't start.
Okay,
all Quinn is supposed to start.
Okay, thank you, D. What you think about that rotation right now? There's another one I want to talk about right after that. What do you think about that, Flo?
Yeah, let me hear the second rotation.
The second one as a starting lineup would be have O'Quinn at the center. Also have Herman Gomez. If you have the bigger guys and O'Quinn can't really go against them, you decide based on the matchup. But mostly O'Quinn, got more physical. Melo back at the power forward again. Kamiskas, Leah, and then Rose.
Rose. Lee at the 2 guard, you said?
Yeah. Because, again, at the small, Melo at the 4, and then O'Quinn at the center. Or if Noah's still there, you're going against the bigger guys like a Drummond, you put him there. But for the most part, be O'Quinn. And when you have, like, the guys that's not that good defensive-wise, you put Hernan Gomez up there. But mostly going to be O'Quinn starting.
They definitely need a lineup change, but, you know, it's kind of...
And then KP will come off the bench because right now, just because of the injury wise, since he's like having a little trouble with the minutes, and also it helps up the bench doing that wise because the bench is really struggling. So I feel you have KP, Holiday, and Jennings that would give him a little punch off the bench as well, since him and Melo seem to have a little issue sometime coexisting out there. That's the difference with that lineup versus the first one. And then you put them all out there in like key situations or in-game situations.
I actually like the second proposal better with O'Quinn starting on Hernan Gomez. I like that one better with Porzingis coming off the bench.
Okay, and D, what you think about that second lineup I was speaking about before in case we decide to... Okay, go ahead.
Not like the second lineup, but I just want KP to start. If you just throw KP in the starting lineup, I think I'll go with that one also. Because some of us have KP start out there.
Okay. Sounds good. All right. Thank you. And for my tip-off topic, basically it was... For myself, I like to address a Jahlil Okafor trade that it was spoke about by ESPN insider Chris Ford. He reported that the Philadelphia 76ers were considering trading Okafor before the February 23rd trade deadline. He's only 21 years old, and he's a number 3 overall pick back in the draft in 2015. But as of late, he's been relegated to the bench, is averaging 11.2 points per game, 4.9 rebounds per game, and 1.1 block per game in 22 minutes. Basically, they're saying that he may need to change the scenery. They seem to be kind of pushing him out the door a little more versus what they was doing earlier. What's the other guy they kept putting out there for a second?
Noel.
There you go. Noel. So what y'all think about that versus Noel saying that they may do Okafor instead? Starting with you, Flo. What you think about that?
They should have moved Okafor a long time ago. I'm still perplexed at why they drafted him instead of drafting D'Angelo Russell. So that's still a mystery to me. You know, you had Embiid, you decided to draft a second center. And Nerlens Noel, keep in mind, you originally had Drew Holiday. You traded Drew Holiday for the pick, which ended up becoming Nerlens Noel. You know, then Nerlens Noel get hurt. So, again, this is a team that has too many centers. You know, they have to pull the trigger and make a deal. They know they need a starting point guard. T.J. O'Connell is a backup point guard. Chancellor Randall, I know that they just offer him a second 10-day contract, but the rumblings that I'm hearing in Philadelphia, they don't think he's the answer. So they're definitely going to go hard and pursue Drew Holiday. So again, they got to pull the trigger on the deal and get whatever they can get from Nerlens Noel.
But would you rather them do it with Okafor and keep Noel?
I'm sorry. Okafor. They need to move Okafor. That's what I meant to say. They need to move Okafor.
Okay. And how about How about you, Danny D? What you think about that deal potentially?
And where would he go though? They didn't say any locations where he would go.
No specific location as of yet. It's basically like they just think they want to see what they can get from right now. They really just want to get him out of there. Basically, that's what they're saying. So I'm just trying to scout what team might really want his services at this time.
Well, he's a 7-footer. Some teams like you can't build height. He can go out there. They'll get somebody. And also, he has to go because the playing time, he's not gelling with these guys. 76ers got like 9 centers. So, he got to go. That's the game. That's the business. That's how it goes.
I hear you. It seems like that's the move right now. And he did have a little issue early in the season, some little off the court altercation. But, something that happened with youth. Haven't really anything since then, which is good. But I wouldn't just give him away. I mean, if you're not getting nothing or you're just getting like 2 second rounders or late first round, then I would just keep him if you can. But at this point, I really would see what else you can get out there for him. I don't think it's reached the point where it's like he just gotta go. I think he's still talented, plays has a very good offensive game, and like you said, you can't teach height. He's not a big stiff out there, so. But like you said, I like to see how it happens before Simmons comes back. I think that has a big effect on how he's playing. Is that you don't really have a legitimate point guard type of play out there. So I like to see what he can do with Simmons come back and see if you give him a little more minutes with him out there, how he would play with that type of player surrounding him. But that was one of my tip-off topics. The second one was potential trade. I just thought about it. I was looking at it earlier and see what y'all thought about it. And it was basically a trade of Klay Thompson being traded to the Indiana Pacers for Paul George. It actually works out salary cap wise. Not saying it's something that's been talked about a lot, but just, I saw some little rumors of it previously. So just wondering what y'all thought about that overall, if that type of trade would happen. What you think about that potential deal, Flo?
I don't think it's a major difference if you're trading one player for another player. Both of these guys are all-star caliber players. I don't see it's a major difference, But the thing is, I think with Paul George, he almost plays like in the same position as Kevin Durant. With Klay Thompson, he's a legit 2. You could put him at the 3, but he's legit 2. That's the only issue that would be with this trade. But other than that, I don't really see how does that help Golden State. This seems like this trade will more so help Indiana. They'll have a 2 guard, but again, now they're missing a small forward. So,
okay, thank you, Flo. How about you, Danny D?
Yeah, if I'm Golden State, I'm not doing it. I think that Klay Thompson is a lockdown defender better than Paul George, and I think he's more consistent. Because with Golden State, when the best player on the floor, Klay Thompson is defending the best player on the floor. Either be a guard or shooting guard, small forward. Klay Thompson is basically doing that, and he's a better two-way player than Paul George, in my opinion.
Okay, thank you, D. Gotta concur with both y'all again. In this respect, I see why you would do it for the Pacers, especially Paul George really doesn't want to stay, and you may be able to secure the services of Klay Thompson. But I would like this move before, like if Durant wasn't there. It seemed like it's more of a move that would help them. But right now, like you were saying, Flo, they both play kind of the same position. And it's only one basketball to go around. So I think it's easier with their offense with Thompson versus George, who really needs the ball more in his hand, versus just Thompson, who's more of a shooter. But, it's an interesting deal, just a thought about. But I really wouldn't do it if I was them. I'd do it more for the Pacers side. But, who knows as the season goes by. But also, Golden State playing really well right now, so I don't think we want to mess with that chemistry. Okay, that was a tip-off segment. Okay. Now, listeners, please stay tuned when we take a short message reminder break. Immediately following the break, we'll jump right into our NBA honorable mentions of the week. Hey everyone, quick reminder, please subscribe, share, and give a positive review to the podcast when you have a chance on iTunes. It'd be very much appreciated. You also can find links to our show on Spreaker.com, Stitcher.com, Pocket Cast, and now we're also on Google Play. You also can find links to our show on our Facebook fan page, which is also known as Knicksfandom. In addition, if you have any comments or have any mailbag questions you'd like us to address on the show, you can submit them via email at knicksfandom@yahoo.com. Lastly, this is also an independent podcast that is not officially affiliated with the New York Knicks at this point and all the time. Now back to our regularly scheduled podcast. Okay, listeners, thank you. Now it's time, for our personal NBA honorable mentions of the week.
Yay! Yay! Yay!
And we're going to start with Danny D. You have anybody for NBA honorable mention of the week?
Man, honorable mention for the week actually is going to the guy who was getting joked on, Alfred Payton from the Orlando Magic. In the cups of Evan Fournier's injury, he has been stepping up, guys. For the last 5 games, Alfred is averaging 21 points, 8 assists, and 4.6 rebounds in the last 5 games for the Orlando Magic. But you know they went 1-4, but that don't matter though. It's good. Good job, Alfred Payton. Go out there, do your thing, player.
All right, that's a good one right there, man. I didn't even know that one. Okay, good for him, man. Trying to say he's not gonna be no bust. All right, thank you, Danny D. How about you, Flo? What's your NBA honorable mention of the week, if you have one?
My NBA honorable mention of the week is the starting small forward for the San Antonio Spurs, Kawhi Leonard, who had a career high 41 points in the overtime victory against the defending champions Cleveland Cavaliers, 118-115. Kawhi Leonard is averaging in 3 games this week against the Nuggets, T-Wolves, and the Cavaliers. He's averaging 36 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 steal, as the Spurs have gone on to become 3-0 this week. So my NBA honorable mention of the week is Kawhi Leonard of the San Antonio Spurs.
Okay, that's a good one. I'm always glad when he go against LeBron and give him that L. So that was definitely a good one. Thank you, Flo. You know how that is. For myself, I picked John Wall, even though he did my Knicks dirty the last couple this week or so. But previously, he was doing a 3-0 record. He averaged 24.3 points per game, 5.3 rebounds, 13 assists, and 2 steals within that time frame. So for my pick, NBA honorable mention is John Wall. Thank you, fellas, as always.
Yay! Yay! Yay!
And now I'd like to transition to another segment. It's basically our hot topic segment. And for this segment, not going to be too long out there, listeners. It's basically, you just want to do a little NBA segment regarding what teams we think in the upcoming couple of years, maybe 2 to 3 years, that may make a little push into the upper echelons level of the NBA. We know the LeBrons and Golden State will be there unless they have some injuries and things of that nature or a major trade will happen. But there's some of the teams that might be mid-range or a little low that might get that little push within the next 2 or 3 years that you should keep an eye out in the horizon. And I basically want to start with you, Flo. Who's like maybe the 2 or 3 teams, maybe within the East or the West, that just come out of your mind that maybe everyone's not thinking about out there right now?
I would say number 1, the Milwaukee Bucks. The second team would be the Utah Jazz. And the third team is actually the Philadelphia 76ers.
Okay. I got a couple of the same ones. Any particular reason why maybe the Bucks stands out or the Utah Jazz in your mind?
For Utah, if they re-sign George Hill, because he's playing excellent this year with Gordon Hayward, they re-sign. Like I said, if they continue to re-sign their players, they continue to get better. They go after a major free agent. They have a great coach in Quinn Snyder. I think in a couple of years they can be knocking on the door against Golden State. In terms of Milwaukee, they've given Cleveland all they can handle. Pretty much. They have a star in the Greek Freak. They have Jabari Parker, who's Carmelo Anthony 2.0, in my opinion. And, you know, they got a guy who's hurt that once he comes back, that'll be part of the equation, would be Chris Middleton. They have a coach in Jason Kidd, who did an excellent job with the Nets. And he's looking to get better. If you look at the team, he's trying to get this team real big, starting wise. So,
okay.
and with Philadelphia,
Go ahead.
You know, LA, you hit it right on the head, man. I got to trust the process. You could build around this guy. As you have him, keep in mind, you're getting Ben Simmons back. Hopefully they can, if they continue to stink this year, hopefully they can get a top 12 draft pick. Continue to get this team, hopefully this team get better. And they can sign some veterans. They'll be all right. What hurt this team this offseason is two things. Elton Brand retired, number one. And then number two, they lost down in signing Manu Ginobili. So they get some veterans and continue, and hopefully they draft well. That's a team to look out for in the next 3 years.
I agree. That's definitely. I had 3 of those teams on my list as well. How about you, Danny D? What you think about those teams? Flo broke down. Then we get to yours and mine.
And what was Flo 3 teams again?
I say it again. He had the Bucks, the 76ers, and who's the third team again, Flo?
Utah Jazz.
Utah Jazz. There you go.
Got you. For my picks that I have right now, surprising, I have Detroit Pistons. Number 1 for me is Detroit Pistons. Number 2, the lonely Denver Nuggets. And my last team, I don't have it might be the LA Lakers.
Okay. Why'd you pick those teams just to stand off? You just go one by one,
One by one, really? I picked the Detroit Pistons because their core is very, 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 very young. If you think about it, I didn't even know these guys were that young. Because Andrew Drummond, I think, is around like 24, 23. Tobias Harris is around like 24, 25. Stanley Johnson is only 2021. And Harry Ellison is only like 19, 20. And these guys are young. The problem that they're having right now is that they're very undisciplined. And their point guard is Reggie Jackson. If these guys can actually get it together with Stan Van Gundy, they can make some moves. And the salary cap is not that high for these guys because they all because they all been drafted and it's always coming through the free agency, but from the draft. So the salaries aren't that high for Detroit.
Okay, how about you, Flo? What you think about his picks right there? Thank you, D.
I don't have a problem with Detroit. What was this other 2 teams?
I have the young LA Lakers
and those guys and Denver.
And Denver. And all these guys are young on Denver. The LA Lakers, I put that because same thing with age. I think Jordan Clarkson is the oldest player. He's the old guy on the team, and Nick Young. And Nick Young is born, I'm not too sure about his age, but I know Jordan Clarkson is only 24.
Okay.
The Lakers, it's possible. They have a good coach, Luke Walton. It's possible they can get up there in the next 3 years. Hopefully, they keep their first-round draft pick. Hopefully, they'll have another piece to go with Brandon Ingram, Julius Randle, Jordan Clarkson, and D'Angelo Russell. So yeah, I agree. The Denver Nuggets, I'm not sure what they're trying to do over there. That's the only thing. I think they have a good coach in Mike Malone. I like Gallinari, but like I mentioned earlier, they're already thinking about moving him. They have another center that they like, and they really love him. With Moutier, they're a good team, but I'm not sure they're going to be challenging for a playoff spot in the next 3 years. I still think they have a long way to go. It just seems like they're missing probably some veterans on that team.
That's pretty much. They need to get rid of 2 or 3 more players and get some veterans on the team to mix with the young guys. Because they just, they playing like an AAU team. Some nights they're on, some nights they're off.
That's true. I agree with that.
Okay. Thank you, Flo. Indeed. I agree with that. I'm just not sure about the Denver one. It seems like they can't get it right for whatever reason. And I'm not sure how many free agents actually want to go to Denver. I think that's another issue going forward. That's the one team I'll be a little worried about on D's list. For me, my list would be the Lakers. I think you always got players that want to go there because of the legacy they have with Magic, Shaq, and Kobe. They also have some cap room eventually in this next couple of years or so. And they got a lot of good young talent, like D was saying. Also, I had the 76ers for the same reason. The main issue is about who want to sign with them. But if you keep getting enough good players around them, and they already have cap space, So I like Simmons a lot. You already know how I like about the process. So I think right now that's an upcoming team. Also like the T-Wolves. I think they got a lot of young talent with there with Zach LaVine. They got your guy there, Flau, at the point guard and Dunn and everything. They also have Karl Anthony Towns, and they also have Wiggins, which you all pretty much like as a player. And you got a very good coach in Thibodeau. I just think they need maybe one or two veterans. They'll be right there. Also think with the Bucks, like you were saying earlier, for the same reason, Flo, I won't go back into it. And also for the Celtics, I think with all them draft picks sooner or later, you got to cash them in and make one big move. I think the only issue is with how many players want to go to Boston. There's not the friendliest of confines. They don't really get that many big players, but they did have KG and, Ray Allen, those players that actually went there through trades. So you may get a move like that down the road to put everything else they have around. They have a very good core with Bradley Thomas and their draft pick from this year. I'm a big fan of his. So I think they might have one or two veteran pieces away as well. And then the one team none of us talked about was the Knicks. We're not putting them on as a list, man. 3 years? Nobody's going for that?
The problem is I trust the process, but I don't trust Phil Jackson.
Oh, man. That doesn't bode well for us right now as a podcast.
Listen. If Mr. Dolan decides to get rid of Phil, I wouldn't be mad at him at all. You're pissing away Dolan's money on getting players that passed their prime.
Exactly.
With Noah,
exactly.
and Danny could, definitely. See, Danny agrees with me. With Noah, Lee, Rose, re-signing Lance Thomas. That was gave him too many years. Pretty much, gave him too many years.
1 year was too many years, man.
Pretty much, you felt you should have walked. Pretty much.
I didn't want him at all. You knew that. I was going to say somebody took Galloway. I would have took that the other player they let go. I forgot his name right now.
Derek Williams.
Exactly. I'd have took him back. If I couldn't get them, I would have just left that space up there. I wouldn't have filled it. At least not with that type of money, no. But I think the Knicks could be the other team I thought about. They could go real bad or real good. It just depends what happens in the next couple of years. Either way, it's something to keep an eye out. But I was just looking at it. We didn't pick that as one of the teams. I was just trying to see. All right. But thank you very much, fellas. I appreciate that. It was a hot topic. And basically, as we close our show, any closing remarks you might have, Flo, right now before we close the show off?
As always, I want to thank the listeners. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. Please continue to share, subscribe to all your friends. Definitely. New York Knicks, Knicksfandom. Let's get it.
Thank you very much, Flo. Much appreciated. And Danny D, how about you? Any closing remarks for today?
Man, ditto like Flo said, man. Thank you, fans. Thank you, listeners. Another week down. We got more coming in store, guys. More coming in store.
Thank you very much, Danny D. And basically our listeners, until next time, as always, I'm very appreciative to my co-hosts and their contribution to this podcast. Couldn't do it without them. As always, thanks again to our loyal listeners for tuning into the show. We hope you enjoyed it. Please keep tuning in and spreading the word about this show. Be well and take care. See ya.